This is a redo of the video I did back on January 11th, 2017, where I explained the stadium situations for the PFA teams starting in 2017 and then onwards. I wanted to redo this video for a while now because that video was terrible. It was incoherent, a lot of stuttering, a lot of stalling stuff that was really terrible. And of course, I wanted to do a better explanation of the stadium situations and explain some new stadium situations that are going to happen going into 2018 and onward. So I'm going to begin explaining the stadium situation for PFA, and I'm going to go by alphabetical order in each division, starting off, of course, with the National East. Now, the first one on the list is a team that actually doesn't have a stadium problem, but might want to move eventually in the future. That's the Manhattan Greens, as they play in MetLife Stadium right now since 2016. Now, the stadium itself, I like it. Of course, I was there for Super Bowl 48, and the Greens like it, but they would like to eventually play in Manhattan, since that is their name, the Manhattan Greens. Now, of course, they're not going to get no new stadium anytime soon, but that would be an ideal situation for Manhattan eventually, to someday in the future get a stadium in Manhattan itself. Then next on the list is the Washington Americans, who, as you know, play in RFK Stadium. Now, later on this year, I found out, because I did not notice when I made this video back in January, but supposedly this fall, if it didn't already happen yet or not, RFK Stadium was supposed to be being demolished. Now, of course, this is like an alternate scenario where the Americans want to play in RFK Stadium for the immediate future, anytime soon. They have no interest in playing in FedEx Field where the Redskins are playing. And the only other stadium I could think of in DC that would be capable for the Americans to play in would be whatever the stadium, I can't remember its name, that the Nationals of the MLB play. But rather stick with RFK Stadium. So in this universe where PFA continues on, RFK Stadium will be used still in the immediate years to come, even though it will most likely be demolished or already was demolished in real life. The next stadium situation is the Milwaukee Lakers, who, remember, they play in Miller Park, which is the stadium that the Milwaukee Brewers in MLB. Now, the stadium is not necessarily a problem. The Lakers do like it, and they do like the retractableness of the roof. That way they can have outdoor games too as well, like late early in the season where it's nice temperatures, and in case maybe one day have like a snow game or something like that. But they also would like to be able maybe one day have an actual football stadium and not a baseball stadium. Now, they're not complaining right now, and also they're not in really any capability to make a real complaint, as they're doing terrible right now, since remember they're going 0-8 at the moment, so they're just going to have to deal with it right now. And then the next on the list, this one is actually kind of serious, and that's the defending champion Omaha Thunder. Remember, they play in TD Ameritrade Park, Omaha, which is a baseball stadium, and it only has 13,000 seats normally. That's the smallest stadium in the league. Now, it can be expanded to 35,000 seats, which is much better, and of course that's what they use during their games, but that's still the second smallest stadium in the league. Now, this is somewhat remedied as they're playing in Memorial Stadium down in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is I think it was an hour away from Omaha, which has 80,000 seat stadium, but they don't want to play it make that a permanent new home or something like that. They want to stay in Omaha. So this was talked about last year, and it actually might go up to referendum next spring 2018 in Nebraska or Omaha Congress or Assembly or whatever, where it might be possible to have a referendum go up to vote where the citizens of Omaha could actually vote to build a new stadium for the Omaha Thunder to be built in 2021. It would be an indoor 65,000 seat stadium, and the price range would be between $300 to $600 million, because we're not cheapskates like in the NFL. And of course, for all of you who don't remember, the Omaha Thunder have a deal with Memorial Stadium to play at least one game there for the next 5 years. So they're going to be playing at least one game, 2 this year, and maybe more in the upcoming seasons in Memorial Stadium till 2021. That includes the 2021 season. If the new stadium gets built, they're going to still play one game there. Also, by the way, there has been polling done on this, if this go up to vote, the citizens of Omaha would likely vote for it, as they very likely love their Thunder and they want them to have a better stadium to support their franchise. So next on the list is the Atlanta Trojans, and here's a team that's actually playing in a no longer real stadium anymore. Remember, they play in the Georgia Dome, which was a few weeks ago destroyed, which was such a sad sight to see. Oh, that was so sad. Now, remember, they had next door the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I believe it was called, since it's that way, don't get mixed up with the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. However, the Trojans did not want to play in it, and I didn't want them to play in it either, although it wasn't built yet by 2016, so they had to play in the Georgia Dome. And if they did go there, they would have to play a couple games, the first few games of the season, in the Georgia Dome, since new stadium wasn't built yet. But they don't want to play there. I don't want them to play there. We like the Georgia Dome better. So in this hypothetical alternate universe, the Trojans are playing still in the Georgia Dome, and they're going to play there for the immediate long-time future. They have no plans of leaving. Another team that's on this list, this isn't really that bad since its stadium's is suitable and they're satisfied. That's the Birmingham Hornets. They play in Legion Stadium. Remember, that stadium was built back in the 20s or 30s. It's one of the oldest stadiums in the league. However, it did get renovated a few years ago, so it's still satisfactory. However, the Hornets would like eventually one day to maybe get a better stadium eventually, kind of something like Raymond James Stadium feel to it. But they're not complaining at the moment, so it might be another decade or two before they might need a new stadium eventually, but that's also a consideration eventually. The next on the list is the Hawaii Phantoms, who play in Aloha Stadium. They kind of hinted that they would like a new stadium eventually too, to call their own, since it is kind of a weird looking stadium. And of course, they would also like it to be eventually their colors too, of gray and purple, fuchsia, which Aloha Stadium, if you saw, is orange and green seats, looks like from satellite views. But they're not complaining still at the moment. But if a referendum maybe one day in the future came up, the city, Hawaii really loves the Phantoms, especially Honolulu, so they probably would support it. But that's not coming up anytime soon. Next on the list is the Los Angeles Angels, remember, who play in Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which they share with the Rams. Now, they're not complaining about the stadium. They're satisfied with it, so they're going to be playing there for a while. But remember, that new stadium that the Rams and Chargers will eventually play in, which originally was going to be built in 2019, finished in 2019, but because of delays, now it's not going to open up till 2020. Los Angeles Angels, they might go over there too when the stadium's built, but I think they might wait another year instead and do it in 2021. That way they can have a full slate of games for Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which they still kind of like. So when that new stadium's built in 2020, Los Angeles Angels might move there in 2021, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then, speaking of the devil, another National West team. It's the the Portland Dragons, I mean to say. As remember, they play in Province Park, which is the smallest stadium in the league right now with 20-something thousand seats, if barely that amount. It's technically the second smallest because of TD Ameritrade Park Omaha, which I mentioned earlier, has 13,000. But the Thunder, remember, play with their extended add seats, so that makes it 35,000. So Province Park is the smallest stadium in the league. That is really bad and barely suitable for a football team. And they would like a new stadium, but there's no real support for the Dragons to build a new stadium anytime soon. And Portland nor Oregon is willing to fork over the money, so it looks like Portland's going to have to deal with it right now unless they become really good all of a sudden. And the way they're playing right now, that's not going to be the case. And then the other team in the National West, other than the Phoenix Storm, who have no problem with University of Phoenix Stadium, and that's the Oakland Majors, as they play in that, I can't remember what its name is, it always keeps changing name, the stadium that the Raiders play in. Now remember, the Raiders been wanting a new stadium there for a long time, and of course when they couldn't get it, they eventually filed to move to Las Vegas. Oakland, on the other hand, is satisfied with the stadium that the Raiders play in, and when the Raiders unfortunately leave in 2019 or 2020 or whenever, the Majors will of course stay. They're satisfied with right now, and if anything, they might ask for maybe a renovation or something like that. Maybe to make the stadium a little bit more blue and yellow to match their colors, but they like the stadium, and they're not going to be moving anytime soon. Now, The only concern would be maybe if they do renovate where they're going to play at, since the only other stadium I can think of is where the Athletics play, but oh shit, that's right, the Athletics play there too, so they'll have to think of something. Maybe since they're close by, maybe they'll share games with the Union down at Levi Stadium. That would be a major issue whatsoever, but we'll have to figure that out eventually. But they're still satisfied with the stadium. Now we go over to the Century Conference, start off with the Columbus Barons, who, remember, they have, I believe, the biggest stadium in the league. Ohio Stadium seats almost 110,000 people. That's the biggest stadium, I think, in PFA. They actually would eventually like to maybe get a new stadium one day for, like, two real reasons. One, they want to make it smaller. They're not a really they're not a really good team, so they're having a lot of empty seats pretty much, so they want to make it smaller to be able to sell out more. And they would like something that's more like modern and more fit to like their colors and stuff, which of course Omaha Stadium does not meet. But other than that, they're not in any concern whatsoever. Then it's the Oklahoma Oilers, who they've hinted that they would like to maybe get a new stadium eventually, since they play at Gaylord Family Stadium, whatever the fuck it was called, since it's a long ass name. Remember, that's a college football stadium for their college football team, so they can't remember off the top of my head who it was, in Norman, which is not even Oklahoma City. It's a couple, maybe like 20 or hour away or something like that. So they would eventually like to get a stadium in actual Oklahoma City, as there's no stadium available there anytime soon. But they're not complaining at the moment. They're still satisfied with what they got right now. But that could be a concern sometime in the future. And then next on the list is the Dallas Stars, who remember playing the Cotton Bowl. They're satisfied with it, but it is kind of an old stadium, so maybe they'll ask for a renovation or an outright new stadium, which the Stars are popular, but I don't think they're that popular enough to like outright maybe like take over the Cowboys in terms of population, so that's not going to be happening anytime soon. But if a renovation or rebuild happens somewhere, if they're gonna like take down the Cotton Bowl per se to build a new stadium on it, they can go play in AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play in like a couple years during that time. So they'll be okay in terms of playing somewhere else if a new stadium comes up or whatever. And now we're finally coming down to the three last remaining teams. As next on the list is the Las Vegas Gamblers. Now remember, they play in Sam Boyd Stadium right now, which I believe is the third smallest stadium in the league. Like barely like 35,000 people can sit there. Now remember, they just started building the new stadium in Las Vegas for when the Raiders moved there in 2019 or 2020. Las Vegas has already said they've already made the decision. When that stadium's done, they will move there. And in fact, they're so interested in moving there that they'll be willing to, whenever the stadium opens in 2019 or 2020, to play a few games in Sam Boyd before moving over to the new stadium right then and there instead of waiting a full year afterwards. Whereas Los Angeles would be willing to wait another year if needed. Las Vegas, the Gamblers, doing mainly those hot uniforms, because remember, they have like a black jersey. We compromised by giving them a white pants and stuff, but that's not enough. They don't like playing in the hot summer, which gets like 100 degrees by the time they start playing like in early summer and fall. And they would like to have a dome and a much bigger stadium, since it'll be like almost double the seating capacity. So Las Vegas will move there when that new stadium's built in 2019 or 2020. And they might play... And they might actually not do a full season. They might actually just play a few games in Sam Boyd, and once the stadium's done, go right into the new stadium. And then next on the list is the San Diego Rays, who remember playing Qualcomm Stadium. Now, of all the stadiums in the league, Qualcomm Stadium is the major need of concern. For all of you who don't remember, the Qualcomm Stadium is like literally crumbling. There have been like reports all the way back to like 2003, I believe, that show that the report of like the infrastructure of the stadium is not really good and it's like crumbling. So it needs major upgrades all the way back in 2003, 14 years ago, and it's probably even worse now. So the Qualcomm Stadium needs to either be massively renovated or needs to be outright rebuilt. And especially now that the San Diego Rays are the only professional football team in town since the Chargers left, they're satisfied with it, but they also would like to get this resolved. And of course, they're willing to, if they're willing to accept upgrading it, not upgrading, renovating it, I mean to say, and play a season or two at, I can't remember what the stadium's called, Petco Stadium, I think, or Petco Park, but where the San Diego Padres and the MLB will play. They'll be willing to play there for a year or two if it gets them in renovation. They're not in desperate need for a new stadium, but that thing does need to get resolved very soon for a stadium that's crumbling really badly. And then finally on the list that's actually a serious concern was the San Francisco Union, who they play in Levi Stadium. Now you would think, that's actually a new stadium. That just opened up in 2014. Why would they want a new stadium? Well, they really would like a new stadium that's in San Francisco, since if Candlestick Park was around, I would have put the Union in there, since I love Candlestick Park, but of course, that's no longer around by 2016, so they had to go to Levi Stadium instead, which, remember, that's in Santa Clara, that's not in San Francisco, that's like an hour or so away. So they would like a new stadium eventually. It's actually playing in the stadium that they're supposed to represent. So maybe one day, maybe it would be a possibility that they could maybe get a deal to go get her with the majors to possibly get a stadium together, although that would be in two different cities since they're supposed to be representing Oakland, San Francisco, or something, because I don't think they're going to be able to get a new stadium outright just for themselves, unless maybe they get something with the majors, maybe get like their own stadium deal like the Giants and Jets and soon the Chargers and Rams in the NFL. But of course we'll have to wait and see about that. Also, another concern that I thought was going to happen, but the team's not complaining, that's the El Paso Mustangs. Remember, they are playing in Sun Bowl Stadium, which is also kind of old. That stadium, I think, was made like in the 30s or something like that, but they're okay with it. They're not complaining at all. And remember, the next 3 years, starting up later this year, they're going to play at least one game in Mexico City. And remember, I think it was week 13 this year, they're going to host the San Diego Rays in the game, and they're going to play 2 more in 2018 or 2019. I don't know if it's going to be like a permanent fix like it's starting to become like in the NFL, so who knows what will happen with that. So those are the stadium situations in PFA, and I feel a lot better about this video than the last one. Even though this one's double the length, it's much better quality and has much more detail and explain what's going on. So we'll see what happens in the next bunch of years with the stadiums and stuff, as I also simulated week 8 of the 2017 PFA season, and I'm getting the shit ready to go. I'm going to start working on the slides eventually to start working on the video to get that ready. So be on the lookout for that too.